know about the national interest waiver until I joined this company. The legal team did help me see if I qualify for NIW or not. So there are three items that we need to check off basically for NIW. The intention was not to get the EB2 NIW, but I was just passionate about getting licensed. Call with them a few times only, but every time I got on a call, they were very sure about my chances of approval and what exactly I need to do. So they were really helpful.
Hi everyone, this is Priya from It's Okay Yaar, and welcome back to our channel. Today we have with us Inchara. Am I saying that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Today we have with us Inchara, and we're going to be discussing all about EB2 and IW. And we have someone who's actually built this profile and has been able to successfully get it. So hopefully, you and I both are going to learn a lot from that experience. So, welcome, Inchara.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, Priya. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. And I just want to thank you. I know you're a new mother, you're based in California, and you're taking the time out to do this super early. So we're truly, truly grateful for that. I will get started. And for anyone who is listening, if you have no idea what EB2 NIW is, it's basically a way for you to self sponsor your green card. I have a detailed video about EB2 NIW with an immigration lawyer that I will leave in the description box. So check that out if you want to get an understanding of the basics. But we will use this time to really discuss about how Inchara made this happen for herself, and hopefully we all learn from her. And if you are on this path, you will leave with some actionable tips to make this happen. So should we begin?
Sure.
Okay, so Injara, I think it would. I know a little bit about you based on our discussion. You work in the construction industry or in Southern California. You moved to the US in 2018. But talk to us a little bit about who you are, where you are from India, and your profile, most importantly. And that I think will be a great beginning for listeners to understand how to get this started.
Of course. So, I've been in the construction industry for more than 6 years now. My journey began with a passion for building a sustainable future, which led me to pursuing a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's degree in environmental engineering, both of which I completed in India. After
Oh, okay.
working for a while, I moved to the US and I pursued a master's degree in construction engineering and management. And during my master's degree, I gained some practical experience through various internships. One of those internships turned into a full time job, and since then, I've been in the construction forensics field. So, construction forensics is it's a specialized niche field of construction, which basically deals with all construction related issues, disputes, failures, accidents, determination of root cause of these issues, and so on and so forth. Since then, I have, as presently, I serve as a project manager at a construction project management company, and I have the privilege of serving for the California High Speed Rail Authority, and making sure that the project goes on well in terms of construction forensics.
Amazing. It's fascinating to hear a woman working in the construction industry. I'm sure there are not many, and we're thankful for everything you do. That's quite a fascinating profile, but just so that I recap it correctly, you had your bachelor's and master's degree in India. You did another master's degree in the US.
Yes.
Then you joined as an intern, and then you built your profile up, and you are now a project manager,
Yes,
correct? Is that accurate?
that's
And if is it okay if I leave your LinkedIn profile on the description as well? Will you be comfortable with that?
Of course, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions any of my fellow It's Okay Yaar followers might have.
Oh, I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So we'll leave that. And if you all have any questions, also leave that in the description box and I will make sure that we get that all answered. That is super helpful. And talk to us a little bit about, were you working in India? Like where were you based? What were you doing in India before you ended up moving to the US?
I'm from Karnataka, so I was working in Bengaluru for over a year, and then I moved to the US. And since then, I have acquired about 5 years of experience in the US. So in total, I
Done
have
in India.
like six plus years of experience. Um, yeah.
What kind of role were you in working in India?
I was in an entry level engineer role.
Okay.
Both I was working both on the environmental side and on the
Okay.
civil side, as I was more interested in sustainable construction, aiming to build a sustainable future. So I was in that role.
Amazing. So talk to us about, so you moved to the US in 2018. How did you learn about EB2 NIW and how did you start building up your profile? Was this intentional or did you come across it later on and realize you're a good fit? Talk to us about that journey a little bit.
Sure, my journey has been, I'm finding the right word to use, but it's been sort of crazy, to be honest. So I moved to the US on F2 visa, and then I
Okay.
changed my visa status to H4 because my spouse's visa changed. He got picked in his H1B lottery. And then I started my education to be able to work on internships. I changed my visa status to F1, then did my
Yes.
internships through F1 CPT, then got into F1 OPT, uh, used all the three H1B attempts and never got picked. And then, yeah, this year is my fourth attempt, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I didn't know about NIW. Thank you.
Now we get
I
it.
did not know about national interest waiver until I joined this company. I hadn't even heard about there was something like that. All I knew was there are like all these EB1, EB2, EB3, 4, and 5 categories. But once I joined this company, I started having conversations with my employer about a possible green card application and my H1B application. So my employers connected me with their legal team, and they were contemplating applying for either EB1 or EB2 for my profile. And based on their advice, it seemed like I had a better chance of approval if I went with EB2. And then they told me that there is something called EB2 perm, and then there's something called EB2 NIW. So we went with EB2 NIW for two reasons. One would be my profile is a little more suitable for EB2 NIW, and I have a higher chance of approval, which may in the future end up being very useful for applying for EB1. And second thing is it is economical for the company as well. So because we could save both cost and time, and I had a chance of getting it approved, my company sponsored me for
Okay.
EB2 NIW, and that's how I learned about it.
Okay, so you did not have to go through the self-sponsor process. Your company did it for you, and it's economical. And yes, for everyone who doesn't know, definitely check out the session with the lawyer as well, because this is the right way to do it if you're trying to get EB1. Like if you can get an EB2 NIW and then do EB1. I just know of a lot of companies who are not comfortable filing an EB2 NIW for their employers. So like I understand that your field is a little more niche and they've been very supportive, and I'm glad that you
Mhm.
found someone like that. Before we move to
Thank
the
you.
next question, actually, what visa are you right now on, H4 or F1?
I'm on H4 EAD.
Okay, so you're an H4
Yeah.
EAD and you've done the
Hmm.
EB2 NIW through an H4 EAD.
Yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
perfect. So I think like my next question was more around the self-sponsoring piece and how did you take
Hmm.
that decision, but you explained that beautifully in terms of how organically you had that assistance from your company, and
Hmm.
the legal team guided you through the process. I have one
Yeah.
question around general availability test and national interest waiver test. Was there the one that you qualified for, and did the legal team help you navigate that? Talk to us a little bit about that if you know.
So the legal team did help me see if I qualify for NIW or not. So there are three items that we need to check off basically for NIW. The first one is we need to see if I'm a member of professions holding an advanced degree.
Okay.
And the second one is if the proposed endeavor has substantial merit or national importance. And the third one is if I'm well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. So I sat with the legal team and we see if I check off all those boxes. And I did. So that's how we got about filing for EB2 NIW.
Okay, that is super helpful. So, okay. And what was the profile evaluation? I know you mentioned these three steps, but what were the timelines around it? Like, what was the first, like, you start with the legal team, you did these three evaluations, and they figured out you qualified. But when did you start the process, and when did the entire process end? Talk to us about the whole process, timelines, everything involved.
Sure. So the process started sometime in May or June of 2023.
Okay.
That's when I started talking to them about it. And it took me about like 5, 6 months to talk to my previous employers, talk to my professors, talk to various people that I know who were willing to provide me with reference letters, which played a big role in the in EB2 NIW application. So I got about 8 or 9 reference letters in support of my application. One was from a director, one was from an MD of a company. So they were all they did have a lot of weightage in my application. So that took a little bit of time, and then I also dug into my previous records to see if any small or any sort of awards, any publications that I've made, either in India or in the US, paper publications, any participation in technical presentations, supporting my contribution to the field. So all of this happened until I would say the end of November 2023, and my legal team filed for my EB2 NIW sometime in December, and I requested for premium processing, which is available for EB2 NIW. So I received a decision within 45 days from the date of filing. So I found out about it sometime in late February or March after filing for my application.
Okay, so you started in around May of 2023,
Mhm,
and by
mhm,
November, you figured out all your documentation. December, you
mhm.
filed for premium, and then you find out in January or February, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And so, like, the two things that I want to cover, let's stick with the first one, which is the documentation. You mentioned all these publications, reference letters.
Mhm.
What else was the documentation like? Just so that people have complete visibility into what kind of profile they should be building and what kind of documentation they should be looking at.
Sure. Like I mentioned, there are three
Yeah.
categories that I had to check off, right? So for the first one, I had to prove that I was a member of professions holding an advanced
Hmm.
degree. So for that, we used my master's degree both from back in India and in the US. So that supported the item number one, and the second one about to prove that my proposed endeavor has both a substantial merit and national importance. So since I work in the transportation sector, I work on all sort of construction projects, but my work has mostly been in the transportation sector. A good thing for me was that the United States Department of Transportation has a strategic plan for financial years 2022 to 2026, and they termed modernizing nation's transportation infrastructure as a national priority and critical to the country's economy and global
Okay.
competitiveness. So that kind of was an advantage for me because my field is also in transportation and also a niche field in within transportation. So I had to provide evidence that I work in transportation. I got a bunch of reference letters from the California High Speed Rail project to prove that I work with them, and also a little bit of explanation on what exactly I do, what exactly does my job role entail, and how does it help in seamless completion of this project. Because you might have already heard that California High Speed Rail project has undergone its fair share of delays.
Yes.
So since my specialization is in analysis of such delays and stuff, so it was it played to my advantage.
Got it.
So that was the documentation that was needed for the second item. And for the third item, to prove that I was well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor, that needed a lot of documents. Number one is my education, again, to prove that I'm educated in this field. I have the credibility that I need. And the second thing was my experience to prove that how unique and niche my skills are, my skill set is. Then a bunch of reference letter from esteemed members within the field, and the publications that I have had back in India, and a few awards that I've gotten, like even the basic
Yeah.
ones, like I've cleared the gate examination in India, I use that as well. So everything that I could find, I sent over to the attorneys, and they were able to make use of all of those. And another last thing that we used was membership in professional associations or any sort of licensures. So there is something called professional engineer in the construction industry, and I had recently cleared that exam. The intention was not to get the EB2 NIW, but I was just passionate about getting licensed. So that also holds a weightage in the application. So acquiring all these skills and kind of building up your profile, that'll help a lot.
Super helpful, and everything that you are sharing, it you have such thought clarity, and also I feel you're very intentional about building your profile. You're truly passionate about the field that you're in, and it showcases, and I'm sure that helped you get all the documentation. I have one question though. You mentioned that you're trying to get these references documentations from a lot of state departments and government. What is the process like for anyone who's trying to do that? Do you like cold email them? Do you have a contact? Like, what does that look like?
So all the reference letters I got are from people that I've worked with.
Okay.
So one thing, I was an introvert back in India. I think I'm still an introvert, but since I moved to the US, I've learned to network and socialize and build my professional relationships. I think that played a big role. I'm in touch with my professors from the university at USC. I am in touch with all my employers from my previous companies. So yeah, I think just building those relationships helped me a lot, and all I did was email them, and they were more than happy to help me out with providing me with a reference letter for my application.
Oh my God, this makes me so happy because I feel like people think about networking and all of this is so transactional. It's over, so why keep in touch? And I think you've done such a good job of like closing the loop everywhere. But this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of this. I have a couple of more before we wrap. Any advice you have for people who are looking to start their EB2 NIW application or process?
I can think of two things. The first one is network. Again, it's played a big role, huge role in my career, and it's very important uh, with regards to finding a new job or switching jobs, or even for applications such as these. So that is very important. I highly recommend that. And the second thing is, regardless of whether you think you have a good chance of EB2 or EB1 or EB2 NIW right now, keep working towards improving your resume or building your profile, or even just doing something passionate in the industry that you work in. That will go a long way, because when I had my professional achievements or awards or anything, I did not expect them to help me in this way, but ultimately it did play a very important role in my life. So you'll never know when it is useful, so I would recommend that as well.
No, thank you so much because, I say this all the time that we are such a smart and resilient community. We can go adapt anywhere, but
True.
but I think we don't do a good job of pushing ourselves out of the comfort zone enough. And things are so much different back in India in terms of how we get our work done, like our work speaks for ourselves, etc. And it's just very different in the West, and that really requires you to step out, attend those events, like meet those people, and like really push yourself a little bit. And unless you do that, it doesn't happen. And you're just make me so happy because I feel like you came in and in a short time you were very intentional, passionate, and you made it happen. So thanks for sharing that. Last two questions: any lawyer suggestions or a law firm recommendation? Looks like your company helped, but do you know who the firm is? Can you share that?
Yeah, I think the firm's name is Mallets Law.
Okay.
It's a small firm based in San Diego.
Okay.
They did a great job. I got on call with them a few times only, but every time I got on a call, they were very sure about my chances of approval and what exactly I need to do. So they were really helpful. Yeah. And other than that, I don't really have a lot of
It's okay.
information on any other law firm
No,
that
that's
does this.
that's super
Yeah.
helpful. Thanks again for sharing. And what's next for Inchara after that? Like, do you stay on H4 EAD and you can continue to renew once you have EB2 NIW? What are your plans like? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this yesterday. In case my H1B doesn't go through, what do I do? In case it goes through, what do I do? But I think, regardless of what happens with my H1B, I want to keep working in this field and keep acquiring new skills in this field. And I have also thought about some publications and acquiring a few more certifications like licenses that would ultimately help me upgrade to EB1,
Amazing.
maybe within the next 3 4 years. But I'm just being hopeful, maybe, but let's see.
No, I
That
hope
is my, yeah.
I hope you get it. That's amazing. And I hope your H1B gets picked, like sending you all the best wishes here. But yeah, like for everyone else, if you have an H1B and you have an EB2 NIW approved, you actually can continue extending H1B for the longest time. You can actually also go back and then come back whenever you want on an H1B. So that's the value that you have. So definitely check it out. But yeah, Inchara mentioned, if you are in these niche fields, I always get questions around, will my profile be selected? Like, you have to put in the work like she has, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring someone so that you understand what goes into it. And second, please like do some research, especially if you're in healthcare, if you're in construction, if you're in these niche fields and you are some way contributing to the US economy that is not really thought about in terms of building up your profile. Like, do that research, and hopefully after watching this video, many of you will get more clarity and can explore that path. But thank you for sharing and taking the time out, Inchara. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about this journey that I haven't covered before we close?
I think you covered it pretty perfectly, Priya. Thank you for having me and the opportunity to share a glimpse of my story. I appreciate it. I look forward to engaging further and making valuable connections.
Absolutely. If there is anything that I can do for you or help you in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will leave your LinkedIn profile as well so that people can take a look at your profile. And for anyone else, if you have questions, leave that in the description box. I do work with an immigration lawyer as well, so we'll try to get all of that answered. Thank you so much, Inchara, and it was wonderful having you.
Likewise. Thank you, Priya.